Excellent. We are now recording. Thank you. So, today we're going to cover in the Introduction to Tribal Leadership, Week 3, Triads and a Triad networking. This is the basic component of operating as a tribe, and the most smallest component of that is the triad. And a triad network is the way how blood flows, if you will, life flows through the tribe. Um, One moment, you just need to verify who's controlling the site. So, once again, tribal leadership is about leveraging natural groups to build a thriving organization. So, we can get lost in the verbiage of what that means. And what that means is that, you know, an ancient said, give me a leverage large enough and I can move the planet Earth. So, leveraging natural groups is what happens automatic. You guys remember we talked about this um, in the previous presentation. Animals herd and fish, they school together. Birds flock, but humans tribe. And this is what's important. You already are doing a tribe. You just don't know that you're doing it. And But you are. Each one of us are doing it at different levels, at different stages. The authors of this book recognize that this is something that was naturally happening, and therefore all they did is just observe and record and presented what it is that they saw. And then they distilled it down to a language that they could share with other people. So once again, I'm going to share another quote to keep with tradition. No business, no movement, no activity can be any greater than the thinking minds and consciousness of the people who are at the back of the movement. Spencer Lewis said this, and this is another way of saying, in a more positive way, what Einstein had said many years ago. What Einstein said is that we cannot solve the current major problems we face at the same level of thinking that we created them. So the current level of thinking is what creates the problems that we see around us. You follow what I'm saying? That what you don't like about your life, well, we have brought it into our life. Creating that consciousness, changing it, makes it important to take ownership of your thoughts. So remember, there's a tribal leadership audiobook. Please go to it if you have not, and you can download it. I'd like to hear if anybody has any comments about that they've learned any new thing regarding the book. Has everybody got a chance to listen to it or read it? Looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Marco can't hear me. All right. Can everybody still hear me? Who can't? Okay, very good. Reading the book. All right. Marco hears me. Excellent. So I'll continue to talk until somebody says otherwise. So this week we've let's just real quick I'll do a little bit of feedback on what we've covered so far. We're talking about triads and triad networking. But what we've covered so far is In week one, we learned about our language, our perception, and our differences about those perceptions. How the stages seem simple to understand when you read about it, but not so easily to apply because it takes discipline and it takes cooperation. It takes removing ourselves um, from the most important position and trying to create cooperative agreements with one another. The higher, in order to reach the higher stages, we have to build these agreements. In order to reach those higher stages, we also have to have a stage three. Stage three says, I am great. When I say I am great, I am automatically saying you are not. The fact that I say I am, it's exclusive. By that process, whether I mean it or not, I am only having what I call belly gazing event, where I'm just looking internally. When we take it from there and we start saying we are great as a group, we start moving up the ladder into stage five. So that's the kind of language that we were talking about in the introduction. It's difficult at times to have this on a practical, daily work environment, relationship with other people, and it's hard because this is to achieve this is through these conversations and changing the way we speak. Um, all right, week two, we learned the value of the proper basis of alignment versus agreement, right? An agreement is something that I do and I'm forced by that agreement to maintain that. The alignment is something that I choose to walk along your side, right? Side by side is an alignment. Agreement is either you're pulling me, I'm pushing, or we're in the same bound together. So you can look at it that way. So the core values are the legs that support the table of the noble cause. The noble cause being the base by which we all have an alignment. And or another way of looking at it is that the core values are the pillars that support the bridge, and the bridge of the noble cause is how we as tribes connect to other groups that have similar agreements, that have similar alignments, and we can build tribes, interconnected tribes through these bridges. And then in this week, we'll see how the smallest looking component of a tribe is the triad. It is a very lifeline, and it's the very structure by which we operate and do everything else. Triads are like cells are to the body. Triads are to the tribe. Let me try to say that one more time. Like cells are to our body, right? Triads are to the tribe. So we have all these cells. The whole body is full of cells. But there are some cells that only operate in a certain way towards an organ, and therefore we call that the skin, or we call it a system. And we have a liver, and we have a kidney, and they're all cells, but they operate slightly different. Yet overall, they all combine together. They meld into one body, covered by the skin, and everybody has their own little function. Everybody's happy. So now, natural relationships of these tribes, they noticed in the book, the authors, that they happen from anywhere between 5 and 150. At 150, they break off and they grow into another tribe. I didn't observe it. They did, and they wrote it down and recorded and shared that with us. So how do we organize ourselves working together? I was just explaining to you earlier that the organization that I work for is definitely a positional hierarchy leadership approach. In tribes, we work in what I'm going to call trifectas, borrowing from the horse race. track where everybody wins and everybody works towards the cause that is noble. All right, so we can have another organization outside of our group, the Costa Rica Project, doing something very similar, working out of, say, somewhere like Peru, and we could join because we both have the same noble cause. So they studied these tribes, and they didn't invent this. They are the authors. They only observed and deduced this information and gave us what happens organically. And what happens organically is that people tribe, and that's where these connections are. So what is the benefit of a triad or a triad network? The benefit, as I was saying earlier, is that it's not a positional relationship. You don't follow a leader in a triad because you have an agreement and you're forced to that agreement. But you do it because there's a mutual benefit and everybody wins and everybody grows out of it. So I'm going to share these words that I'm going to play with, and it's called lead, learn, and act. A leader at a stage 5 or 4 tribal leadership invites somebody who is willing to learn how to have a better language, how to have a higher level stage relationship and behavior. Then they together find and invite another person to become part of this triad. That person is the one that's going to, what I put as an acronym, ACT, A-C-T, Accountable Committed Team Member. Sorry, I just got interrupted by a little bug that was trying to get in my ear. Or they're creating a new trifecta where everybody wins. What do they win in this triad? They win a new relationship, new knowledge. They all create a new language, and they have a support of their alignment towards that noble cause. And so this small group then starts a network. That network obviously connects to, what do they say, a whole world by just one individual, 6 individuals apart, and that's what starts the connectivity in a triad network. The benefits of creating these networks is that not only do we win personally, not only do we create relationships, but there's something greater, or not greater. There's some other components that maybe you haven't thought of. Unparalleled loyalty. When you build relationships through a triad, now you have built relationships that, because they're not based on strict agreements, they're based out of strong relationships. You have loyalty that is like family, which is what we experience, right? We all experienced that when we were at the school. Now we've built relationships where we're friends, we're beyond friends, we're family, and we saw things there where people were sharing their fruits, people were sharing their car, people were sharing their cell phones, they're sharing their knowledge, and that is the kind of benefits. But now what do you get out of it? You get loyalty out of it. So that's one of the benefits to you as a triad and also a tribal leader. High performance. Because we do this, we all perform at a higher level. You ever heard the quote that says that a rising tide lifts all boats? I love that. You come in with a happy-go-lucky excitement, and everybody raises their frequency to a higher level. The other thing is productivity and profitability. We become more productive because we work together. And let me tell you, I could not pull this off. What I'm doing today, being the speaker here, not by myself. And that's why in order to get to this place, Marco has helped me. Brittany has been a lot of help. And Excuse me, I clear my throat here, getting a little caught up in the moment. And Carolyn has been a great deal of help to put this together. And there's been other people that have been involved and get out, but my point is this: I see that I'm here presenting to you, talking to you, and in the background, so many people have helped to get here. I am productive because others have brought their profitability, their performance, and helped me get to this place to be able to be the guy talking to you, which I consider a great honor. So more of the other the benefits that you develop yourself. That's my point that I was just telling you right now, and others. I am better because others have helped me do that. We get a chance to co-create best practices. We find out what works and what doesn't work, we throw it out. True leadership is the next thing that is very important. So when you hear the word leader, as we talked about in the introduction, a lot of times we think of the boss, somebody who's telling you what to do. But you see, with the leadership, when we're using that word, we mean your circle of influence. We all are leaders because we all have influence over somebody. A mom has influence for a child, and I have influence over a friend, and so on and so forth. We all have influence over each other. Leadership, at its very core, simple influence is influence. Carol, are you muted? You can't talk? No? Okay. So what we have is I want you to get this picture of the triad and the network. We're using different color triangles because the structure of a triangle or a pyramid is the strongest known structure to man, geometrically speaking. This component, diamonds are shaped out of it and all kinds of really cool things. So when we build triads, they become very stable. They're very good in partnerships, and it's naturally an easy way to resolve conflict. By the way, conflicts don't become conflicts in a tribe, and I'll tell you why. Because the noble cause automatically says, that's not what we do, that's not what we are about. So a lot of conflicts disappear just because we have a noble cause, because we believe and live out our core values. And therefore, this becomes the very webbing that we create our network. So, anybody have any questions about this? Please let me know. Okay, continue on. So, a triad, a small little group of 3 individuals working together that reach out to other individuals to create other triads, brings together a group of people to accomplish the things that are nearly impossible. And the things that are nearly impossible are those things that make history. And that's what we're talking about in the Costa Rica project, is how do we move ourselves as a group towards that end, and we live in stage 4 and 5. This is very possible. It is being accomplished even as I speak this. The fact that we're here together, think about this. People from different places of the world are coming together for this. It's not just a webinar. We're building and creating history. We're writing a book as we speak. All right. Forming a triad. If in a dyad, we always have this dynamic of 2 people that either work together well or oppose each other. But in a triad, now you have a neutral person or an odd number that creates a better stable relationship. So we always have this combination that's constantly moving and working with one another. That is why triads are far better than a dyad. As I already explained, the format should be, not always, but should be that two people that are at whatever stage they may be, stage 3 and up, are going to reach out to, we call them seasoned, because they're people that have the knowledge, people that are actually working in that direction. They reach out to somebody else and they invite them. They see some qualities in them. They hear some language in that person talking about stage 3, and then that becomes a triad. That's a new tribal group, and that new tribal member starts rising to a higher level until they own their own natural organic position. So another way I like to express this is called self-expression. You'll hear me say this a lot if you talk to me, or in this case I'm talking to you, but if we have a conversation, you're going to hear the word self-expression. Self-expression to me is the very core of who we are as individuals. There's something very special about me, about you as an individual, that only you bring to the table. So all of us could be detox specialists, but your approach, your thought, your understanding, and your corner on how you view the world is what makes your self-expression unique. So the triads grow together. It becomes a stronghold or a foothold on the core, because everything's based on these core values, based on this noble cause that we're all working together. And so naturally, out of excitement, we speak to other people, and that's how it grows. You don't talk about you as an individual, look at what I'm doing, how great I am, but look at what we're doing as a group and how great we are. That's the conversation. That's what creates triad, and that's what creates a true tribe at stage 5. So triads are the very core, they're the very life of what we do. And again, I am going to try and shorten this a little bit to make sure that we have time to bring in our special presenter, Brittany Johnson. Coming on board in a moment. She's going to take over. And I just want to ask one more time, if you have any questions, please type them up and let us know if there's anything that you feel that you want to hear more detailed, or do you understand the concept of triads and the network? So remember in the earlier presentations, we talked about fractals. Think of this as each individual has a body with cells in them. We create a triad, which becomes a cell, and the cell is, or the triad, becomes networks of triads. These networks eventually build this organism that we're going to call a tribe. The tribe is an organism. It's like our body, right? The tribe itself is a body, and each one of us are in there. So when you look at so let me back up here. The fractal modeling is, if you look at a tree, inside the roots of the tree are similar to the top of the tree, the crown of the tree. And when you look at each one of the roots, they are like little trees unto themselves. They got all these little branches coming out. That's what a fractal is. It's a pattern that repeats itself, exponentially growing. And when you hone in and look down into it, you'll see that pattern. And a triad is a fractal of the network, and the network is a fractal of the tribe. So regardless of how you look at it. So we duplicate ourselves, we replicate other triads. It's what happens naturally, just by simply sharing your emotion and your excitement. Okay. Um, so let me come back to this. Let's see. We have nobody writing anything. Okay, that's good. Sorry, the noise, the background noise. I'm not really sorry. I just want to say that I'm not the one on the motorcycle. Anything that we didn't cover, you want to cover? Are you sure? I'm talking to Carolyn. If you, hey everybody. So, Brittany, are you ready to rock and roll and share with us? We want to bring Brittany on board, and I'll tell you why. Because um, she has been part of our triad creating this. Brittany has helped us a great deal in developing the marketing and developing the web page to the event and helping us with Big Marker. And um, these are things that, frankly, I was nervous about. I just was very uncomfortable about doing it because I don't know how to do it. And so um, I had a significant amount of anxiety over it. That's what's true. Now, one thing that I want to share with all of you is that we're going to have a short little break, 1 week, and then we're going to go into uh, another 2 series, 2 more weeks. And in those 2 weeks, we're going to cover um, more details and the application of networking and triading. Just made that word sound like that. We're going to get into these tribal stages and better understand them so that we can identify where we're at and how do we go to the higher levels. Trial, trial and error is part of life. Um, Tribal stages is something that we all aspire, whether we realize it or not. And so the way this works is that we create these areas where we learn from one another how to become better. We change our language, and our language changes the way we think. And I just want to tell you this issue that I refer to as um, it's hard for me to concentrate on a parking lot, but this issue of self-expression and this issue of networking. When we do this, and we have internal language, and then we have external language. So externally, I could be the kind of guy that says, "Oh, I'm really good at this, that, and the other," but internally, I think of myself as a stage 2. So externally, I present myself with confidence, stage 3. Internally, I have issues that I haven't addressed, where I believe I'm at a stage 2, when in fact I'm at a stage 3. When I own stage 3 and I know I'm good at something, it doesn't matter what it is, um, I own that area. I no longer visit stage 3, I own it. And I don't ask anybody permission to be okay with me being okay about what I'm okay about. So what I mean by that is, I don't tell you that I am a martial artist out of pride. It's just that I've been doing it for 40 years. I should be good at it, wouldn't you think? I've been an engineer for 20 years. I think I know a thing or two about that. I don't need somebody to validate me. I just am because I am. And that qualifies us to move on to stage 4. Stage 4 is where we build these networks where you learn about me and I share it because I can, because I want to, and out of love. And not only that, but you learn what I like, what I don't like, what makes me vulnerable, and when we share all of those things and you share those things, all of us operate at stage 4. When all of us are at stage 4, we now have the ability to go to a higher level because together, all of us being great, we are great, we can leave a legacy. That's what stage 5 is about, leaving this imprint of ourselves, like taking your hand and putting it on concrete, leaving that imprint of a stage 5 tribe that changed the world, that made a difference, not only for us and for our families, but for the whole entire world. That they have a better natural way of self-healing, of self-analyzation, of creating a culture that makes an effect on the whole world. So for further references, please go to the 2 slides. And the top one is slideshare.net is a place where you can go and learn more about other people's creativity in presenting tribal leadership. The second one is a 21-day challenge that we are inviting all of us to go together on this journey to learn how to become better at the culture of tribe and tribal leadership. You have something to say? No? You good? Okay, you just look like you were going to say something, that's all. So I'm at the point where I want to stop talking and pass it on to Brittany. Just want to remind you that February 22nd at 1 p.m. Central Time, we are going to have tribal stages and triads again, but it's not going to be just introductory. We're going to be more on the practical side of things. And Sunday, March 1st, same time, same back channel, Thriving, the tribal organization, what it is to be at a stage 5. So somebody give me a cue.
Take it away, Brittany.
Take it away, Brittany. I'm going to mute. Can I mute?
Let me know if you can hear me. Anybody? Hey. Yes, I can hear you, Brittany. Can you hear me? Well, I'm not hello, Brittany. Yet. It looks like my mic is on. Okay, perfect. Oh, my computer's a little slow. Thanks, guys. So, Triad and the tribal leadership. I just want to share a little bit about share a little of my experience in my community I live in. I live in this house that's kind of a community, and I recently proposed the tribal leadership model because we've been very scattered in our values and what we want to accomplish center, and you might know actually a little that you live here. Everyone able to hear me? I think I don't know. It's unfortunate. I often have trouble with it. Got a mic only. Yeah. Okay, can you hear me? Is it still breaking up? Okay, so I'll try this again. So I wanted to share a little bit about my recent experience in the house in the community that I live in. It's a sort of a spiritual community, and so I recently proposed this tribal leadership model to the house to try to get us all on the same page and get us with similar vision, with a similar cause to unite us, because I've been living here for about 8 months now, and really nothing has happened other than just more division and separation. So I really appreciated having this model as to come to my awareness, so that we can try to work with it, and people seem a little more open. And I'm really excited about the Triads, because it seems like this is a way that can help motivate people into contributing, into forming a strategy for actually going somewhere greater than you could if you were alone. And in fact, when people are at these lower levels, like level 1 being life sucks and level 2 being my life sucks, those people, that consciousness, that energy really drags the whole group down, so that really nothing can be accomplished. And so it's really important to be able to unite in these visions, in these goals, in these values, so that we can start to achieve something greater. And like Hector said, when we work with this model, when you get to a stage 3 and you connect those stage 3s of I'm great to you start connecting those people together, so that the group, the triad, starts to believe that we are great as a team. It really helps to rally up the troops and to be able to contribute to something that's greater than the whole. And like Hector said, there are no there's the disagreements or the conflicts that arise are sorted out by themselves, because underneath it all, we all have these shared values. So when we can connect with each other and realize that we have these shared values, and that most of these conflicts just arise out of misunderstandings of what a person is trying to accomplish. But then we get on the same page, we connect with each other, and we're able to see that, we do really want the same thing. So let's work together and see how we do that. And another example from the book I really like is, it's not like these leaders, these tribal leaders, are acting as moderators. They really step out the way so that these people who do have sort of a misunderstanding are able to work it out between themselves. They're able to see that they have these shared values, and so therefore it's not creating more of that dyad, that relationship between two people where somebody comes to you as a leader and says, I'm having a conflict with this person, and then the leader, thinking that he's great or she's great, goes to the other person, gets their side of the story, and then comes back to the other person, gets their side of the story, and just tries to take care of it all themselves. It's a big time waster, and it's really not contributing to union. So when you're able to, as a leader, say, you two work it out, you guys have similar vision, it just diffuses the situation so much more quickly. And and you're helping to elevate those people so that they can take care of their own problems rather than trying to take care of something for them. So I'm really looking forward to using it in the community that I live in. Peace, thanks for joining us here, because I know you know how it is to live in this community, and I'm really looking forward to seeing if it can help us as a community to actually start contributing to something, because we do have a lot to contribute. I mean, all of us do have a lot to contribute to our community and to the world at large. And it's just going to be really exciting. As I was reading this chapter, I just was really, I was getting really excited, and just all the possibilities of triads were like just popping in my head, and it was just like really inspiring. So yeah, that's just kind of my experience so far. And this is true. Yeah, changing our language is a form of detoxing. And our language also, we talk about this a lot in our triad, but our language is such a reflection of our consciousness and of what level we are on. For, life sucks, or I'm great, or we're great. It's just such a reflection of the whole. Does anybody have any questions or want clarification as to what triads are and how we can use them as tools for building stronger communities and tribes?
Okay, so Brittany, can everybody hear me?
Yeah.
I've actually got Hector's, because I had so much feedback going on, I couldn't, it was way too much for my brain. Anyway, so glad to be with you here today, and my name is Carolyn Tremor. For anybody, I know there's a couple of people here. Peace, welcome. Thank you so much, Brittany.
Thank you.
Your example is truly inspiring to me, and I know that the story that you just told to everybody is very inspirational. So basically, we've had two stories today: one from Hector and his job situation, and then you, Brittany, with your situation there in your community, as an example of how the impact of this tribal leadership has. Okay, let's just speak into the mic. Anyway, how this is impacting your lives, and I know that just by people attending the webinars, we're starting to get a little bit of a glimpse as to what this tribal culture is about, what it means to move into tribal leadership and to form triads, so that we can get work done in our efforts to launch this global initiative that we have. I want to invite everybody who doesn't know that we have a website, www.costaricaproject.com. Please go out and visit that. If you ever want to re-listen to any of the webinars, we've got them posted out there. This webinar will be posted as soon as it's made available to us from Big Marker. Again, thank you very much for attending, and what we want to do now is open it up to questions and interaction.
Yes, become a little bit louder.
And so just that little arrow. If you'll notice, there's a mic icon up top, and if you'd like to speak, we invite you to turn on your mic and ask a question or a comment. We love that you're here today with us. We want to hear from you.
I have a question. Can everyone hear me okay? 1, 2, 3. Okay, Brittany hears me.
It's
Okay,
very quiet out there.
I have a question for
There's,
Carolyn or for
yeah.
Hector or for Brittany. I'm just trying to think of questions also that other people may ask. So here's the question, and then I'll go off mic. The question is, what happens, or maybe perhaps Brittany, what happened in your experience when you try to introduce something, a new concept like triads and let's work together in an environment that is at stage 2 or stage 3 perhaps, where people really don't, they're not interested because they're still at that stage where they want that power, they feel, they feel that ego power, and they understand, they perceive as what you're trying to say is an erosion of that power. So Hector also said that his current job is like that. So, I wonder how Hector would feel if he, I'm sure, if Hector went to, I'm guessing if Hector went to his employers and said, hey guys, why don't we all work together? I'm guessing what their response would be. But what about Brittany? Whoever answers first, what was your experience?
Okay, I'm going to need to just repeat it a little bit so that Hector can hear the question because he's lent me his earbuds. So, Hector, the question is like, how do you go about introducing that concept of how to work in triads and with tribal leadership concepts when you may be entering into a situation where people haven't ever heard of this, they don't understand the concept of them. Is that kind of the summary of it, Marco?
And I could answer that too.
Yes, thank you.
Okay, so when I introduced it the first time to the community, like you mentioned, Marco, some like level 2 consciousness, and there's a lot of resistance and defensiveness that arose, and fortunately for my situation, there has been another person that has entered the community that is at a level 4. She's definitely a leader. So then that is what catalyzed the openness to for the rest of the community. But it kind of runs into a question that I have actually there's still some resistance, and there's let's say that there's one person in a community or in a group of people, it's not quite a community, that doesn't want to contribute and that doesn't want to be part of the community. And so, my question is what are your options then? If you can somehow work that out, or does that person just need to figure out something else? And if you want to still answer Marco's question, Hector, then to do that too. But it just kind of leaded into my question that I had. So, yeah.
Okay. Can you hear me okay? So, Brittany, your question is what? Can you condense it?
Is that what do you do when there's somebody that is
just go ahead and speak up and I'll stop.
Okay. What happens when...
First of all, I just want to say that mainly it's about enthusiasm. So to answer Marco's question, when I see a good movie, I eat a good piece of fruit, I simply share that with anybody and just about in any situation, right? It's out of my excitement. Not everybody accepts it and then says, oh, I'll do that. Other people just get upset or they'll ignore me. I don't get upset at all just because you don't like the fruit I'm eating. or you didn't like the movie that I went to see. And so when we're sharing a concept, a lot of times we get so attached to the outcome that we hold back or we stop sharing simply because somebody is going negative on us. Ignore them. Just keep going. Let your passion and let your consistent modeling of those behaviors that you want to see in others, let that be the thing that causes a change. And eventually, those people have to make a decision which direction they want to go. Whether they want to be a part of it or they want to pull away. And so I hope that answers the first question. Brittany, I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me right now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, so my question went off of that, and it was, you know, there's let's say somebody that's already in the said community that's not set up in a way that necessarily has this tribal leadership viewpoint. And so there's a lot of incoherence. And yeah, like I hear what you're saying, like offering a lot of enthusiasm, and it seems like there's been a lot of reaching out and offering, you know, coming from a place of love. But it's just it's not working. It hasn't budged anything, but
yeah,
it's still met with a lot of defensiveness and resistance. And so I guess condensing my question is there anything you can do for that because I understand change comes from within that person, and there's nothing that I can really do other than be in line with my authentic self, which is striving to be in line with that love and simplicity and truth. But it just seems like I'm not sure if there's anything that I can do to really pull in the tribe, and I'm wondering if it's like either that person has to leave or is there any hope?
There's always hope. And Carolyn's going to say something. All right.
That's exactly what I was going to say. There's always hope.
But when you have somebody who's in a positional leadership condition, in other words, they have influence over a group, a community, or a tribe, now it becomes a difficult situation because that person has direct influence on how much we're going to foster that tribal leadership, stage 3, 4, and 5. So every leader and every individual is influenceable. The problem is finding the right combination that's going to affect them in a very positive way. And so that takes homework, and that takes being able to identify myself with that individual, so that individual can identify themselves with me. And when that happens, we now have an area where we can at least talk. So it's a little bit of investigation, but that would be my recommendation, if that makes any sense.
No, it totally makes sense. And it also just kind of sparked something else inside of me to recognize that, you know, those people that are, like you said, if those people have, like at the stage 1 or stage 2, have power over the community, I mean, they are still extremely powerful. We're each extremely powerful, and our energy is extremely powerful. And when you're at a level 1 or 2 and you do have influence over the entire community or tribe, then I feel like it just makes it a whole lot more difficult, you know, so to get reintegrated and get the leaders to be the ones that have that level 3, 4, 5 awareness.
True. And I'll just say one more thing and then turn the mic over to Carolyn. Well, actually, two things. And it's a saying I like a lot. If I think I'm a leader and nobody's following, I'm out for a walk.
Mm-hmm.
Second, when I see difficulties in other individuals that I'm trying to influence, it's just personal to me. I have to look at that person and then say to myself, Hector, what is it about that person that I equate to in that behavior that causes me not to be able to help them out? In other words, I behave in that way that I don't like about that person. And that's why I recognize if I have an investment, an emotional investment, that's the question I ask. Other times, I don't have an emotional investment into it, so therefore, it doesn't bother me. I just understand that's where they're at. I'll find a way to love them in the right timing. But,
Brittany, you're awesome. You're trying to like get the community to talk to each other and to come up to these higher levels of learning. I mean, living through learning how to get a relationship in a positive way. And I know that within you, you have everything it takes to help this individual. So I think it's really important when we get into a situation whether it's in an individual one-on-one or whether it's in a group setting, when we start to notice that there's destabilization or a desync in the group setting, that everybody take a moment to remember what is the purpose of, what's the purpose? What's your individual purpose or what is the group purpose for being together? So sometimes it requires just a moment of pause, taking in a deep breath, finding that center place within yourself one more time, to begin to feel yourself being drawn in by some negativity. That gives you an opportunity for, and when we practice that, it gives us an opportunity to realign with what's really the whole thing is about love, right? We want to learn how to be that conduit of love into the world, so that that flow goes through into us and through us and out to others, and let that sort of be and see ourselves as an amplifier for love. So I find it really helpful when I'm in a situation like that, just to do that momentary pause, to remember that this is all about love, to get into that higher level of consciousness within myself, and bring that then as a reminder if I'm working in a group situation, to have everybody just take a pause and say, hey, let's remember who we are. We've begun to adopt that into our group meetings, our triad meetings. So before a meeting, after we've opened the meeting up, we take a moment to pause, to remember the tribe, to remember our noble cause, to remember what it is that we're there to do. And so I think that's really a good starting place. If you start to feel like things are going into a downward spiral or a desync, or somebody's starting to infuse some negativity into the conversation. Then the next thing that can happen is that you begin to shift your mind into seeing that person as they're fully involved, fully complete actualized self of being a love being as well. So instead of seeing their negativity, you see their higher kindness, if you will. And then begin to reflect that back to them, the positive statement.
Sorry,
Is that maybe Brittany?
I turned it on.
Oh, okay. But anyway, so is there a comment there?
I'd like to comment.
Okay.
Dr. Moore says you can have compassion without taking their pain onto yourself. So a lot of times it's about just being that mirror, being that person that's going to support and let them work their issue out. The other thing is this: by the sheer fact that we are doing something new, you have resistance. When you decide to take a tree and chop it down, it doesn't fall with the first blow of the axe. You have to continue to hit it. And once it starts to fall, you still have to give it a couple more blows for that branch to completely fall off. In other words, when I am moving at a higher stage in the tribal leadership, I have to believe and continue to work out of my passion, my enthusiasm, and eventually those people will align themselves, or they'll align themselves away from that noble cause, from those core values.
Yeah, it's like they'll self-select out. It's like they can't stand the heat, or they can't stand the brightness of your light, and they'll decide they need to go find some of the darkness where people will accept that darkness and go hang out with them. Unfortunately, we'd like to have everybody come up and play in our world, but sometimes it's kind of like I think it's in Alcoholics Anonymous, that they say you haven't hit the bottom yet. But there has to be a point in which you feel like you're so miserable you can't stand yourself. You got to have some internal motivation to change. So anyway, I hope that begins to draw a bit of a picture to a couple of the things that can be done when you face that negativity in either other individuals or group settings. It's more that we can continue to see that bright light in our world. The more the light will shine, and will attract people who are other light bearers, and then as we join together, our light amplifies. So I love being with you guys. Every one of you I know is here because you know exactly what it is I'm talking about. We just have to keep reminding ourselves and helping each other to remember to be fully formed into higher presence of self that we are.
I think we're doing good. And Peter said that he couldn't hear. So hopefully it's recorded. And sorry, buddy, but maybe you can download it off the website, Costa Rica Project.
Yeah, I see the comment there from Keith about all the challenges of mental, emotional, perceptual positions in which people are in. And it could be the modeling that is going on within the community that doesn't necessarily align themselves with the negativity, but continues to align with the positive, and then begin to get into some group process me is that you do have good process and group meetings, and so being able to take some time to help the other individuals see what it is that is coming from their mental emotional state that is challenging the group as they are challenged. So getting them to a point where they can begin to express and open up as to what their needs are. If they don't know what they are, then you as a group begin to reflect back to them what you see as their needs, or try to explore that with them so that they can begin to see themselves. Because most people that have those that are living at the levels that are really challenged mentally and emotionally have not had the proper role models in their lives that have helped them to developmentally progress to be able to see themselves. And so to have a proper kind of reflection and of themselves is, I think, an important factor to be kind of slow and again loving as you introduce them little by little to helping them along. But yeah, it's a challenging situation, and I just love y'all for being there in that community, helping these individuals. They do need help, but if they come to a place where they recognize that are out, well, I guess will be yet to be seen. But thank you. You're a blessing, and it's a blessed work you're doing.
All right. It looks like Peter couldn't hear, and I think Elaine couldn't hear. And so the principal position that Carol was saying is to reflect back to them that love, try to be understand, pause, and take a deep breath. Let me tell you why we implement this pause. There's a couple metaphysical reasons. One, when you take a deep breath, you expel all the unclean and stagnant breath that's in your lungs. A lot of times what we do is we shallow breathe, and because we do that, we are not expulsing all the used up oxygen or air. Second, when we take a deep breath, it relaxes our brain. It engages the lymphatic system. And third, most important, we are exchanging energy flows with one another. So the fact that we take a deep breath, it is believed by quantum theology, or not theology, but quantum physics. The theory behind it is that we share one molecule with the whole world in 90 seconds. So when we breathe deeply, we're actually making sure that we are being a part of the cycle of life with all of us. So hopefully that gives you a good picture. We're done?
So thank you all so much for being here today. Thank you so much, Hector, Brittany, for your contributions to the discussion. Everybody that's been on the chat, we love you being here. We're going to take 1 week break and come back. The dates again, already said, but I think I can actually get the slide going back. What was it? It's going to be February 22nd at 1 o'clock. We'll come back and have some more discussion. Please join us. We're making these webinars available to you. We have, this is a fundraiser. We do have a donate button on our website. If you so care to contribute, we'd love to to have you do that, but that's not what this is about. We just want to make sure that everybody gets gets introduced to tribal culture, tribal leadership. And thank you again all for being here. Thank you, Marco, for your technical support and all that you do. Everybody, each one of you has got your role and your part to play, and we're glad you're here.
Adios.